story time about how I found my husband using Tinder and all the freaking dating apps. Claiming this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. Once again, I'm at the airport, sorry. My husband and I were both total sluts when we met. He was seeing like 10 girls when I first met him, and I was dating 3 guys at the time. Well, let me tell you, neither of us trusted each other, like not one bit. Eventually, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I really wasn't sure if I wanted to say yes, but I did. He is so good looking. Like everywhere we go, we get told we're such a good looking couple. So we know we're both pretty good looking. To be fair, we were both addicted to Instagram. I would get tons of DMs from guys, and sometimes I would answer. And I know that he was getting DMs from girls, although he never told me. We dated for a year, and then he asked me to marry him. Of course, I said yes. I thought this was his way of telling me that he was going to commit to me 100%. After 6 months of being married, I started getting really suspicious. He would never leave his phone unattended. And if we were having dinner, he would always put his phone face down. I know you all know that's a red flag. Basically, he was hiding his phone from me like all the time. One night, we got super drunk and I made sure to wait until he fell asleep. I got on his phone and found Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how I found out my husband was using Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge all at the same time. But yeah, and cheating on me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. So I got him drunk enough that he fell asleep. I got onto his phone and I found all the dating apps. I quickly screenshot every conversation he'd had on each of the apps. I was literally on his phone for 4 hours. Like, I didn't sleep at all that night. And the whole time I was reading his messages, I was crying. Like, I literally thought he was dedicated to me. I sent myself all of the screenshots and then deleted them from his phone. I also went through his Instagram and found a bunch of DMs from different girls. And a lot of them were big influencers. I can spill so much tea about that, by the way. I found a bunch of naked pictures from girls as well, and he even had a freaking Snapchat. At that point, I couldn't look anymore. So here's what I did. I invited both of our families to our house for dinner. Ordered from a super fancy restaurant and made sure everyone was coming. When we sat down to dinner, I told him I was going to go get my laptop. He asked me why, and I told him to give me a second. He literally thought I was going to give him a big surprise. That's when I exposed him in front of both of our families. Part 3 is Part 3 of how I found out my husband was using dating apps, cheating on me, and I exposed him in front of both of our families. So as everyone is sitting down and having dinner, I start a slideshow of all the DMs, pictures that had been sent between him and all these girls. Yes, I was petty enough to make a slideshow. My husband looks at me and tells me to take it down. Of course I didn't. That's when his mom got up from her chair and slapped him straight across the face. Of course my husband started crying instantly. His dad even grabbed him by the shoulders and shook him. My family was in shock. They were so disappointed in him. Mind you, him and my mom had a great relationship. He hung out with my family all the time. That's when I asked him for a divorce and I told him I wanted everything. By the way, my husband and I own a business and he's got his own money. So I ended up taking more than half of the business, 3 out of the 4 cars that he owns, and lots of money. But here's the thing, I still love him. Even though I have my own apartment and we live separately, he comes over all the time for, you know what? Like, we still love each other and still like each other, but I can't get past the fact that he actually cheated on me. He's asking for me to go back.
So I'm working a closing shift, which kinda sucks TBH. But while I was chilling at a slow point, 2 teenage boys come in. They came up and I asked what they wanted. The tall one came forward. He asked for a mudslide 2 coffee blend, which is usually iced. I asked how he wanted it made, and he said iced. His friend was laughing. I asked, do you want cream? So it was a quick 5-minute interaction. The friend was laughing at the awkward interaction, so I thought it was all funny. I made this TikTok account as a joke to post the video, and whatever other shift posts I wanted to delete later. But this kinda blew up, and now I don't know if I should use this account as normal or leave it. So what do I do with this account now?
So I'm tutoring this guy, and in exchange we're fake dating. I know it sounds weird, but my track record with relationships isn't the greatest, so this might be my only shot to get my crush to notice me. But as time goes on, I'm not so sure we're pretending anymore, and to hear more, read The Deal by Al Kennedy. When you're done that, read the rest of the Off-Campus series, and then you are set for the release of The Legacy, a collection of novellas that is releasing in September of 2021 by Al Kennedy. How far would you drive to get ice cream? Because I had 3 girls drive 2.5 hours to my Dairy Queen. It was so fun. It was great to meet them. But in the future, please, no one drive that long just to come and meet me because I probably won't even be working.
This is why you should always double check your Uber's license plate. I was at my friend's apartment who lived in a really rough part of town. That night I had gotten super twisted and was partying it up with friends until 4 in the morning. For some reason, instead of staying the night like I normally would, I decided to Uber back to my own apartment. My friend's apartment had 2 separate entrances and exits to the building, one in the back unlit parking lot and one facing the street. They also had 2 sets of keys for each door and I only had the keys to the back of the apartment. My Uber was obviously going to arrive to the street, so I exited that way and the front door locked behind me. I'm a small, petite female in my early 20s and I can hardly stand upright. I propped myself up against the street lamp and waited for my Uber. I checked to see what car I was getting picked up and all I could make out was that it was a black sedan. Soon after stepping outside, a black sedan pulls up to the curb and the window rolls down. I could instantly feel like something was wrong. He had an expression like he was tearing me apart with his eyes. After seeing that look, I knew what it felt like to be prey. He basically barks at me that he's my Uber driver. This was a red flag because usually the Uber driver would confirm my name. I asked him, "What's my name?" He's immediately enraged and starts screaming about how he doesn't have effing time for this and just to get in the effing car. I've never sobered up faster in my life. This is when I quickly checked the license plate and it wasn't a match. Part 2, why you should always double check your Uber's license plate. After checking the car's license plate, I panicked when it wasn't a match. Meanwhile, this guy is still screaming at me and I have no idea what to do. If I was to bolt in either direction, this guy could easily outrun me or have a weapon. I couldn't run back inside my friend's apartment complex because the door had locked behind me and I didn't have the key. If I screamed, I'm not exactly in the type of neighborhood where someone would try to be a vigilante and I can still hear the music radiating from my friend's 3rd floor apartment. I knew they wouldn't hear me. It's 4 a.m. and no one is around. I was stuck. People talk about how they either sprint into action or freeze, but I felt incapable of doing either in that moment. It was the absolute worst feeling I've ever felt in my life. From when he started screaming until this point, about 20 seconds had passed. Just as he's getting out of the car, another black sedan pulls right up behind him. I ran over and checked the license plate. It was a match. I throw myself in and scream at the real Uber driver, "What's my name?" The poor dude looks terrified but says my name. I quickly reply, "Get me the F out of here, that man is trying to kidnap me." My dude flew out of there with no hesitation. He offered to call the cops, to which I declined and now regret, and then walked me to the front door of my apartment, ensuring that I got in safely. I gave him the fattest tip my college student bank account would allow.
Your sweet music in my ear like the marshmallow. You were wearing yellow, so I had to follow. Like the sun, you brought light to my life, a happy fellow. When I'm not with you, I know I'm in a place less than perfect. Beautiful memories we share got me feeling special. Fighting for our love every day because it's worth it. There's nothing to lose when I'm with you. You got my emotion. Even when I break your heart, you're patient. Your loving me steady on emotion. You're my ride or die. You're my ride or die. You got my emotion. Even when I break your heart, you're patient. Your loving me steady on emotion. You're my ride or die. You're my ride or die.